First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for taking time out of their busy schedules to participate in this webinar. Over the years, we've had some very good feedback from it, to the point where I usually will see the same names that will pop up over time, multiple times, just to kind of pick and choose and glean different little pieces of information that they may have missed or wanted to expand upon the previous time they viewed the webinar. My name is Jason Spangler. I'm the division manager here for flooring. I'm responsible for not only the Rapid RH product line and concrete moisture testing, but I'm responsible for the small line of hand meters that we have for testing finished wood floors and wood subfloors. Just to remind you, we're going to be doing some Q&As here, so if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to send your email in so that I can get to as many of them as possible. If for whatever reason I'm not able to get to your question, please feel free to contact us directly. My number is 800-634-9961 and it's extension 235. You'll find that, obviously as we go through some of these things, you'll think of a question maybe later on down the road. Please don't hesitate to call us. That's what we're here for. So one of the questions I get a lot is that throughout this entire video that Howard presented, talks about how relative humidity is a very depth-specific measurement. So people will constantly ask me about how do they know how thick the concrete slab is. When we're talking about a slab on grade, it's amazing once you are tuned to the point where you need to know how thick the slab is, how many different what I call tells there are on different job sites. So when you start looking at new construction we'll go remodel first. We start looking at remodels. A lot of times they'll do trenching to move plumbing or add bathrooms, things along those lines. If you're there on the job site prior to any of that trench being filled back in, obviously there's a good place to start. A lot of times there'll be penetrations coming through the slab or penetrations on elevated slabs that don't that have excess hole cut out in the pan decking, so you can actually look to see how thick the profile of the floor is. Sometimes stairwells. So there's a lot of different places to possibly be able to find out. Other side of it is construction documents. We all know that maybe that specified thickness of concrete isn't exactly what it is when it's done on the job site, but at least it gives you the chance to have an idea of what you're looking at. There are people that tell me that on job sites they will, at times, drill smaller diameter holes all the way through the slab in a couple of spots. You're not looking at turning the slab into Swiss cheese by any stretch. Definitely not something where you need a bunch of holes, but just some comparative information so that you feel like you've at least done your due diligence. Once you drill through that slab, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll take a piece of wire with a J-hook and they'll push it down through the slab until it goes all the way through. The J-hook will usually spring out. They pull it up until there's tension. You know you're at the bottom of the slab or hooked on the bottom of the slab. Mark it off at the surface with a Sharpie, and you can pull it out to see where the radius of the J was, where the Sharpie is. You have a pretty good idea of what the overall thickness of that slab is. Again, allows you to be able to say or to be able to feel like that you've done your due diligence and verified that there isn't any drastic differences between one end of the building or another when it comes to slab thickness. Another question I get a lot revolves around those elevated slabs that are poured into pan decking. So first question I get a lot of times is, does that constitute, because the pan decking is a vented pan decking, does that constitute drying from two sides? So the first answer there is no. The venting, even though it is slotted in those areas of the metal for that pan decking, you're not getting enough ventilation or enough airflow to constitute drying from two sides, so it's only drying from one side. So your calculations are based off of 40% of whatever the thickness is. So then that leads to the second question, which is, okay, let's talk about thickness. Are we talking about the thickest part of the pan, or are we talking about the thinner portion of the pan? And then once I know that, where do I place the sensor? So part of the question that I'm going to give you is absolute. The absolute is the ASTM standard is completely silent on this specific question. So they are not able to give you guidance, and as you know, the Rapid RH and other types of products that are intended to meet this specific ASTM standard. We build our products specifically for this application. With that, that is where we go to give guidance usually. With that not being there, one of the things we look at is we as a company try to give you guidance from the perspective of what we feel is that you need to try to identify the deepest area of the slab and then drill 40% of whatever that thickest section is, and you need to drill it in that section. So how do you identify where those deepest areas are? Sometimes people will actually drill a few different holes and they can measure on center to where those deep areas are. Or there's other times that they'll buy a fairly inexpensive metal detector. Works a lot like a wood stud finder for finding wood studs in a wall. Usually under about $100. Bosch makes one, and there's some other companies that make them. And what it is, it sits on the surface of the concrete, and it's got a signal that comes through the bottom that's strong enough to pick up where the hi-hats or the high parts of the metal channel are at, but not so strong that it picks up at the bottom of the channel. So you can go from spot to spot, scan across, centers the high spot. When it picks it up again, centers the high spot of the other one, and you know in the middle of that is where the thickest portion is. At that point, it's just a matter of identifying how thick that is. A lot of times specifications will give you that. You know, the metal detector doesn't work perfectly every time, but it does give you at least a little bit of guidance for that. So it doesn't look like I have any other questions. So again, my name is Jason Spangler. Phone number is 800-634-9961 and it's extension 235. Thanks and have a great day.